Natalie, what are you holding there?
A painting that was done on my papa's helicopter.
So, what is this video about today?
Claim to fame.
Claim to Fame Part 2. So, yeah, we had a lot of fun making our first video. What was that, about 2 months ago or so? Maybe a little longer. And it didn't get a lot of views on YouTube, but, you know, there have definitely been some things that have gone on in the last 2.5 months that we're not ready to tackle, you know, publicly. I mean, but we figured let's do a you know, more fun video, because nobody's really seen Natalie, us focusing on you know, making her kind of the focal point here of the videos. So that helicopter, you know, if you guys look back, and we'll put a link on the to the first video. I had to look through the video and make sure she didn't mention it, but or that it wasn't put on there, but she talked about her papa, which is Papa Walt, was a helicopter pilot, and he built his own helicopter, right?
Mm-hmm.
In what part of Tennessee was it? Gatlinburg, Tennessee. So, and that portrait, that watercolor, was done by a professional. I guess, I don't know how famous she was back then, but everybody knew her in Key West. Her name is okay, Carolyn Gorton with a T Fuller. She was famous for creating a bottle wall fence, you know, as like an artistic project, I guess, in Key West, Florida. And she was a portrait painter, you know. I don't know if she did just watercolor, but she graduated like multiple you know, art programs all over the US, and she studied, I guess, in Mexico, and lectured and stuff in like Europe and all that stuff. So Grandpa Walt, Papa Walt, commissioned her to paint his helicopter, and that's just one of them. Let's see. Here's his helicopter in color, and there's Papa Walt and his brother. What's his brother's name? Do you remember? Thornton. And this one, unfortunately, the kids broke the glass off of this one, but let's see. It's a really nice one in black and white. So he had like regular helicopter legs in Tennessee, because he didn't land in the ocean or the sea, right? So, and when he moved to Florida, right, and was that the 80s?
I have no clue.
Okay, so he flew, you know, Dolly Parton, and Natalie's mother was the secretary of his flight business or whatever, right?
I would think it would have been like late 70s, early 80s, because he stopped flying right after I was born. So, and he flew me home in the helicopter, but he didn't fly like very long afterwards.
Yeah, so he put, so he, now I can't verify this because it's probably not in the Guinness World Records, but supposedly once he came to Florida and put the pontoons on his helicopter, he had the world's shortest helicopter landing platform at 16 foot long. So, and if anybody knows at the time, maybe we can get the date, but if that really was the world's shortest helicopter landing zone, maybe the world's shortest licensed one, I don't know. But supposedly that was his kind of claim to fame in Key West. So he had the famous artist do that and do the watercolor.
I don't know if it's like the landing strip is the
dock or whatever.
The dock that you walk to
get on the helicopter.
I don't know, something like that.
But, and you know, her mom, Natalie's mom, said something about, you know, gym neighbors and all that stuff, and I did some research because I didn't know if he lived in that area. He never did, but he did have a project with Dolly Parton, so there's no reason to believe they didn't know each other, and maybe that connection of you know, her grandpa flying Dolly Parton and being a pilot, you know, they could have met him. But yeah, I talked to her mom a month or two ago, and she said yes, we knew them both. So we didn't know, like, initially when we did that video, if Natalie's mom actually met Dolly and all, but she said yeah, we were friends, we knew them. So that's kind of corroborates the story, I mean, a little bit better. But I'll talk one more thing about my claim to fame, sort of. So this is weird. A lot of people probably would not admit this, but I had a family member in prison in Tennessee State Penitentiary, and guess where Ernest Goes to Jail was filmed, at least at one of the locations, for 3 days. Where do you think it was filmed in that 3 days when they did the real prison?
The same prison.
So that place I guess is long closed. You know, it was a few years before it closed. So one of my family members was actually in there, probably for getting drunk or, you know, doing something, stealing a car or something while he was intoxicated, or just riding along with somebody else that was doing something wrong. And he got to meet Ernest, you know, and your dad really loved Ernest, didn't he? He loved, like, that kind of, yeah, he had an Ernest collection on DVD and stuff, you know. Ernest Goes to Africa, jail, Ernest in the army, camp, what is that one called? Ernest Goes to Camp. Ain't that where he, like, becomes bulletproof or whatever at the end? Because, like, the Native American guy said something, and he's like, and the guy's shooting at him, and he's like, okay. Anyway, so that's kind of another claim to fame. And another claim to fame is somebody that Natalie went to what with?
We met at Santa Fe, and we were friends ever since.
Santa Fe used to be called Community College. Now it's just Santa Fe College, right? And I'll get a picture in a second, but you want to talk about it and who she's related to?
So BJ is my best friend.
And say her last name.
Marsalis is her daddy's last name. It's on her dad's side. I don't know if it's his brother or their cousins or what, but they are the Marsalis brothers.
And here is BJ, just so you know that we really got a picture of her, and I'll show a few pictures as she talks. So the 6 Marsalis brothers were known as what?
The first jazz family of New Orleans.
So the first family of jazz, and yeah, they were, and they did composing and all kinds of stuff. It wasn't just jazz, but that's probably. And here's a picture of BJ and Natalie, and you can see she was standing up. She did walk, you know, about 13, 14 years ago, right? So
yes.
And so BJ, she still talks to her. You know, today she just talked to her on the phone, what, about a week ago? And this is at what, Pensacola Navy or something yard or something? That's Natalie.
Yeah.
So, and then one more. So, one of them died, and this is what I was saying, in 2020 of COVID. So, like, after COVID first hit, she like call you and say, hey, uncle, whatever. I think she calls them uncles, so I'm assuming that would be her uncles died. And so that is another claim to fame. But and here's another picture of BJ making a very funny face. If she sees this video, she's gonna kill Natalie probably, but that's all right.
Not me, she'll kill you.
But I guess there is another little story, which, you know, I mentioned several kind of links to my uncle Danny, and his father, my grandfather, used to work for a local bar owner that got into like a little bit more stuff than, you know, I don't want to say anything, even though everybody's dead, you know, everybody's long dead. Used to run some illegal stuff. So this little bar, kind of in the middle of nowhere, the owner has bodyguards, you know, all the time, or he did have them when he was in business and alive. He was getting, I guess, like semi or famous musicians to play at his bar, and Uncle Danny was there when Freddie Fender came to the bar to sing, you know, and this is probably in the late 70s maybe, and he actually invited him to smoke, you know, a doobie with him, and he accepted. So that's I don't know if you could call that a claim to fame, but it was kind of just as neat that you could meet somebody and just say, hey, I got some, you know what, let's go party, you know, somebody famous. And do you know any of the songs that he sung or wrote? I don't either. Wasn't he like mixed or something, like a mixed guy?
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's like very 70s person, I guess, but that's kind of it. All right, take care, guys. Don't forget to
like this video and subscribe to my channel.